Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews. Today we are discussing The Killer, directed by David Fincher and starring Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender plays a secluded, ice-cold hitman who has to clean up a job after it goes wrong. I've been very excited to see this movie. I am a huge fan of David Fincher's work. I'm one of the few people who will gladly say Alien 3 is not that bad. And the reason it's not that bad is entirely because of David Fincher's hard work. He made a total and utter abomination into something bearable. That's how good of a director he is. He really can polish up a turd, and I don't think he gets anywhere near enough credit for that. I'm always intrigued to see what he's doing next. I'm always interested in what avenues he goes down. He really has a great ability of getting under the skin of a subject and bringing the audience along for that ride as well and feeling those crippling emotions that the characters do, whilst portraying something so dark and gritty yet stylish at the same time. He's such a fantastic visual storyteller that I don't care what he makes, I will be there. I will watch it. And gladly, I do have plenty of positives to say about The Killer. The obvious one being that it does still have that very stylish and sleek nature that David Fincher offers to a film. Some of the camera work here is so smooth, it's almost like a ballet. I know this sounds really nerdy of me, but honestly, I would rewatch this movie just for the camera movements, just to really soak it in and think about how they did it. Forget the story and what's actually happening. Think about the movement of the film, because I promise you, it's really good. I think the performances are fine. Nobody's really knocking on the Academy's door and saying, give me that Oscar right now. But I don't think anyone's awful either. I think Michael Fassbender does a pretty good job with what he's given. I thought the action was really well done, fantastically choreographed. Again, those camera movements really did capture the essence of it all. It made me feel like I was in the room observing it. It wasn't cut and choppy and pulling me out all the time. It just let the scene breathe. And I'm so glad that they did, because it was both gripping and even wincing in some small parts. And I think this is a good point to plateau on, because I don't really know if this is a pro or a con. I think the soundtrack is interesting. I'm not sure it fully worked, but I do at least appreciate that they did something different other than the generic cliche of listening to Beethoven. Had they gone down the Beethoven route, I really would have rolled my eyes. But it isn't too far removed from that. It is still a little bit cliche. They just do something a little bit different with it, and I will give it the benefit of the doubt. But as you might have guessed, that really is it for the positives, unfortunately, and we do have to start getting into some negatives. And we might as well get started with the big one, because for me it really cuts the knees out from this film. The story is awful. It's so messy. It's so unfocused. It's as if the script doesn't know what it wants to do itself. It doesn't know if it wants to be a character study. It doesn't know if it wants to do a deep dive exploration on this secret society of hitmen and nasty people. It doesn't know if it wants to be realistic. It doesn't know if it wants to be a comic book. And so it does all of them. And it's all over the place. And it shows in so many little small details that really, with just a bit of extra thought, you'd have tidied that up and the film would be better for it. Yet again, we have another movie that is chaptered for no reason. This film does not need chapters. Every time you're stopping to say chapter 3, chapter 4, what you're doing is you're slamming on the brake for no reason. Just take the chapters out and let the damn thing flow. I really have a problem with this. Stop chaptering movies. It's not a book. Stop it. I found the writing in this movie to be so convenient. I mean, annoyingly convenient. He needs to desperately get rid of something right now. Oh, how convenient that he's turned a corner and a bin truck just happens to be there waiting for him. It's the middle of the night and he's trying to scout this person, and they very conveniently open the curtains in the middle of the night. I could maybe understand it if they were already open and then you got home late and you thought, oh bugger, I better close them. But no, they were closed all day when the sun was shining and you might have wanted them open, and when it's pitch black outside and you can't see your hand in front of your face, no, that's when you open the curtains, apparently. That reeks of convenience, if you ask me. I was sat there waiting for this movie to really kick into gear and do something, and it just never really did. It consistently stays in this frankly boring, generic, seen-it-before pocket of what you think this movie might be. A hitman does a job, it goes wrong, he's got to clean it up. Think of the most basic generic steps of what any of those movies do. That's The Killer. Yep, nothing new, nothing original, nothing to say for itself. It's just going through the motions. And I don't know why, because David Fincher's a lot better than just going through the motions. And yet, here we are. I don't like the main character that Michael Fassbender is playing. I think that he does a pretty good job with what he's given, but what he's given is basically nothing. He's so generic, he doesn't talk to anybody, he's isolated, it's all narrated in his head, there's no emotion to it. I'm just a bit tired of these cliche caricatures. Could he not have been deeper? Could he not have been more interesting? Could he not have had a history? Could he not have a future that he's looking forward to? And because I've seen this played out a million times before, I can't say I find it that intriguing either. He's just a cold killer. And strangely, the narrative plays it as if it has given you enough to be on his side and play him like a hero. I didn't follow him like a hero at all. They constantly keep you at an arm's length from this guy, and yet expect you to cheer him on like he's the hero of the piece, even though he's very clearly not the hero of the piece. And like I mentioned, you can't really attach to him because he constantly contradicts himself. There's that awful bit in the trailer that you may have seen where he very strangely says, "I don't give a..." And it is as cringeworthy and laughable when it happens in the movie. But what's even funnier is after saying that he doesn't give an F, he very clearly gives an F. He also mentions something about how he stays cold and calculated and I don't ever make any mistakes. And yet, he consistently, every 5 minutes, makes mistakes. I would not hire this guy to do a job for me if it was free, because all I saw was just complete inability to do the job competently from start to end. The guy's an idiot. He's so bad at his job, I kept being pulled out of the film and considering how he could have done it properly and better. Not to sound like a serial killer or something, but it's that bad that it flagged up to me going, well, that's left fingerprints, well, you've left your hair on the table. And because it keeps doing this, I could not tell what the film was trying to do. I don't know if it's trying to be funny or if it's trying to be subversive. If it is trying to be funny, nobody in the cinema laughed, and if it's trying to be subversive, I don't know why it's trying to do that either, because it just leaves me shrugging at the screen. It feels so uninspired, it feels so unoriginal. It's definitely copying better films that are already out there. There's huge chunks of American Psycho in here. The intro might as well be cleanly ripped from American Psycho. I just don't understand. What about this project, this material, made David Fincher go, yes, that's the one I want to do? Because there's no depth to it, there's no substance to it either. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, it doesn't do anything that new, that impressive, that groundbreaking. The only way to really describe this movie is it is the best made generic hitman movie out there, and therefore the highest score that I can give The Killer is a quite disappointing 4 out of 10. But of course, please remember this is just my opinion. I've seen a few reviews for this, and it has been very mixed. There are a few out there who are like me and thought, what was that about? But I have seen a few out there who I genuinely trust and think have very valid film opinions, who've loved it, who have given it 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, given it a love heart on Letterboxd. So, you know, don't take this as the be-all and end-all. If this sounds interesting to you, if you've seen the trailer and you're still intrigued, then give it a go. See what you think. Come back, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, because I think this is going to split audiences. It's all a matter of taste and opinion, baby.